The length of the course, 515 metres, a time allowed 83 seconds. 83 seconds with 12 obstacles and 15 jumping effort. And do remember, after the 15th combination, we will have a break for approximately 15 minutes for arena maintenance. 10 minutes for the first combination, 10 minutes.
Before we have the first combination, then we'd like to say a special thank you to the Duggan family for the effort and the amazing facilities they provided here this week at Green Dens. The attention to details have been amazing. We hope you enjoyed your visit here this week and have happy memories going home. Well done to all our judges, officials, our arena party who made all of this happen. We wish all our competitors the best of luck. It's the first time for this competition. It's the FEI World Eventing Championship for under 25. At the moment, as we go to the fan phase, Great Britain lead the team competition, Germany in second, Ireland third. Leading the individuals at the moment, Tom Nestor for Ireland, in second Kevin Bachmann for Germany, and third Jasmine Underwood for Great Britain. But very, very little between the top 5 or 6 in the individuals, and very little between the top 3 in the team competition.
Hello and welcome to Millstreet as we get set for the finale for the inaugural FEI Eventing World Championships for under 25 riders. A competition that will progress after today into the build-up to Cornbury 2027. But we are just a short while away from presenting the first ever World Championship medals. And it is set fair. We're going to see just over 30 competitors take on the show jumping course here today. Tough enough show jumping track as well, set out here in the Green Glens Arena, a venue that built its reputation on jumping at the highest level, a previous host of FEI World Cup jumping legs here in County Cork in Ireland. In the individual ranking, it is all very, very close. Our potential podium finishers after cross-country include Jasmine Underwood of Great Britain and Indian Girl G sitting in bronze, Calvin Bachmann of Germany, the #1 ranked U25 rider in the world, sitting in silver medal position overnight with Alted de la Sens, and sitting in individual gold medal position is Ireland's Tom Nestor with the 14-year-old Cooley Diamond Dancer. In the teams, the 3 potential medal-winning teams are out in front, really. USA and France here with full teams sitting in 5th and 4th, with Ireland, Germany and Great Britain then as our potential medal takers. Ireland on 139 in bronze, Germany on 138 in silver, and then not far in front on 135, Great Britain. So not a rail between any of the teams. There is that rail, though, between Great Britain and Ireland, between gold and bronze. So last-minute thoughts and plans coming together for this track here. James Tarrant, the Irish designer, working in conjunction with Mike Etherington-Smith to set the course here for the finale of this first ever championships. Looking out here in that direction towards Cork City, looking from with our back to the Killarney National Park, a beautiful natural landscape here in the southwest of Ireland. and nestled in at Green Glens Arena, the famous Millstreet venue that has played host to everything, as we mentioned, from World Cup jumping up to the Eurovision Song Contest and plenty in between as well. Two fantastic legs of the sport already, with a strong dressage opener from all of the teams, including Ireland being in the dressage lead. Yesterday, over on the Droshan Castle side of the campus here, we had cross-country designed by Mike Etherington-Smith, getting the level absolutely right, championship level for the four-star contenders in this championships. And now they come back for a very, very chunky show jumping course here. And be interesting to see how the time allowed works out for our competitors as well, because it's a big ring. I think it could be quite easily to go deep into a few corners here and be caught out by the time allowed. We're going in strict reverse order of individual merit, so we start then with the rider who is tail end Charlie of the leaderboard after cross-country and, of course, this morning's final horse inspection. The individual rider, Jess Rimmer. Jess with the Portman Ladies Syndicate, the Spice Merchant. Basil, as he's known at home, is an Irish horse by Ars Vivendi. Just a couple of glance-offs for this partnership yesterday. A lot of, though, experience picked up when you consider we have Olympians, five-star winners with us here across the other divisions and training in the U25. And they were all universally saying what an absolute championship level of four-star these U25s picked up yesterday. So that rollback turn, and this is a spot where I think they need to be quite direct. It would be easy to go out deep into this corner and set up for that double in the German colours, but I think they need to slice across at it or they're going to get in trouble on time. Triple bar pushes them down this distance. Jess just sits up a little bit for the solid black plank on the Viking Longship at the end of the line. Jess, based in the southwest of England with William Fox Pitt's been riding this horse for a few years. It's going to be the first time wearing the British flag for Jess Rimmer. So just swinging back from the water tray then around, looking to the last tip. We see the time coming in against the 83 seconds time allowed. So he's going to be okay on the clock, and with just the one down, number 2 is down for Jess Rimmer and the Spice Merchant. So it is 4 to add, and our first ever rider to complete the FEI Eventing World Championships for U25 riders is Jess Rimmer for Great Britain. So it'll be interesting, you know, Jess Rimmer will have pleased everyone else that she just was able there to get the time very, very easily, 80.68 seconds. Now, the judges and the course designer, they can have a look further at that time allowed within the first 3 riders. So coming forward then are Italians. We had 2 Italian individuals with us. 14 different nations were represented at the opening day of the FEI Eventing World Championships for U25 riders, staying within the competition here and on an 85.8 overnight score. Mathilde Piovani, Mathilde with the Dalton Van Het Lindenhof bred Sol Francais, born West. Like a lot yesterday, their problem on course coming at that corner out of the final Shamrock Water, and unfortunately just not engaged, actually not really in sync and having that open conversation coming up to the first. So the clock is ticking away. This is an expensive way to pick up faults on the final day, regrettably. Mathilde, the consolation being that Italy not here with a team. So this is, as frustrating as it is, it's letting only yourself down. One of the things that this championships is really going to help do is increase people's exposure to and experience of jumping for their nation or competing for their nation across all three tests. A little bit of a struggle there in the rollback turn here as well. We've just got this horse going in quite a long outlines, making it a bit difficult for Mathilde to really bottle up the horse the way she would like. And it just means that, you know, at the pace, they're kind of jumping out the fence and not being super neat in the action. So we are seeing quite a few faults being picked up. It is the refusal and 4 down so far. And we start to get into time penalties as well. Time penalties in eventing coming in at the rate of 0.4 for each second over the optimum time. So Mathilde Piovani, Born West then, clearing the last, and so the time and jumping faults all coming together then for Mathilde Piovani to give their completion score with us here at the Connolly's Red Mills presented FEI Eventing World Championships for U25 riders. It is going to be a 114.2 with 20 jumping and 8.4 time penalties. Well, Austria and Amy Rose Fruewerth, who was also here riding alongside her partner, the Hungarian individual as well, giving us 2 nations. Amy Rose Fruewerth for Austria, 22 years old, has been already a contender for Austria at junior and young riders level, and joins us here for the inaugural U25 Worlds. 83.5 the score for Amy Rose and Gin Tonic. So for them, it was 20 penalties out there on course as well, about 30 time penalties too for Amy Rose, who was sitting top 15 after dressage with us here earlier on in the week.
Also with the winners of the 3-star short format in Copenhagen in Italy.
And that's one of the things we should be watching then, is what rein they approach the first off. Amy Rose coming in off the right and actually just being a little bit quiet. You just need to be quite engaged from the get-go, really set up. And the other thing that must be remembered, so although officially the cross-country is 4-star short level, we are running in the classic format with show jumping on the last day. And even though it wasn't long format cross-country, you still have a couple of centimeters buried here in the surface because of the effort and energy expended yesterday over the cross-country. Coming back to jump on the final day is a very, very different proposition. And it is something, again, that it's great for people to learn about and work out how to cope with. And as we've also been saying, just like the cross-country, this show jumping is set up. It's big. It is a real championship 4-star level jumping track out there. So Amy Rose there, just going to take that water tray as well, with the rails the same color as the water tray, sitting quite boxy underneath the fence, so we end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down, unfortunately, for Amy Rose Fruewerth for Austria. So overall, 113.1 is the final score. Amy Rose, though, does hold her position in front of Mathilde Piovani. Amy Rose also with a couple of time penalties there, 1.6 of them. So Jess Rimmer and the Spice Merchant, regrettably their overnight score was just a little bit too big to get the advantage of what was a very, very good first show jumping round with just the one down and our only one so far inside the time. This was a very nice round of cross-country yesterday for Kyle Morton. He nursed this horse around this four-star track to give Canada its first completion at the U25 championship level. Kyle Morton with Shannondale Gambit by Shannondale Sarko Sangivan. Of course, Sarko be very, very popular sire, and of course one just recently lost to us in the industry. Kyle makes that approach off the left rein, and he's another one, he's there for his horse, but he just does need to go to the leg in the last stride or two coming up to that first fence. So it's obviously just set in whatever the horses are picking up there and behind it, looking up the bank and towards the Green Glens Indoor Arena, that the horses are just backing off that first fence. We've seen quite a few problems at it already. As you see on the screen, Kyle bringing 81.9 to us. German-based, say, a few years riding for Mickey Jung down in the south of Germany. And he gets away with just losing his line through that double, but now he's going to be short and direct up here to the triple bar, and yep, it costs him at the plank. He just comes down a little bit forward, a little bit flat. I have to say, he was quite steady across the ground yesterday in the cross-country. He is fast here today in the show jumping. Nicely done through the triple combination on that one stride, two stride distance. Kyle Morton and Shannondale Gambit back to the water tray, and just one more to go. So it should be another one inside the time with just the single rail against them. Watching the clock. Actually, I think he's going to just miss out on an 83. Yeah, 83.61, so it's going to be 4.4 to add, 4 for jumping and 4 for 0.4 for time, giving that 86.3 final score. So Kyle Morton and Shannondale Gambit, leaders in the clubhouse. The first completion score in this championship's under 100. And it is still Jess Rimmer and the Spice Merchant who have our best show jumping round with just the single rail down inside the time. Katarina Brandis joins us now for Poland. Katarina, who's been a Nations Cup rider for her country, has won at the four-star level at home in Sopot as well. Katarina just 21 years old, but been at youth championship level a couple of times for Poland, and partners here with another Irish sport horse. This is Polanski-bred SEL Oscar. So the Connolly's Red Mills fence down are presenting sponsors there early on the track here, set by James Tarrant of Ireland. Katarina really engages and moves up on that rollback turn, because it is a place where they could lose a good bit of time. And we saw Kyle Morton. He looked like he was actually traveling, and yet he was just a fraction outside that time allowed. As I said, Jess Rimmer made it look very, very easy to be inside the time allowed of 83 seconds. Problems coming in at the triple combination line. First two elements down of it, unfortunately. So Katarina just swinging around towards home. Again, watching the clock here. She should be comfortably inside 83 seconds and pops out over the last. But it is going to be 4 on the floor for Katarina Brandis and SEL Oscar inside the time. But with those 16 to add, it's 97.4 at the end of their odyssey here as an individual for Poland. And it drops them 1 place behind Kyle Morton and Shenandoah Gambit for Canada. A shame to see this partnership at this end of the leaderboard because they had a perler of a cross-country round, having, of course, been well up after dressage as well, sitting in 8th after dressage. Barney Brotherton, DHI King Nelson. It was those 20 penalties at the corner coming out of the Shamrock Water that marred an otherwise exemplary cross-country round for Barney. He's already, as many have, ridden on his country's Nations Cup team. He's on a winning Nations Cup team for Great Britain in Bicton. DHI King Nelson, 11-year-old Namalysar, sitting on 81.1 over the night. Everyone we've seen so far, an individual for their country. We'll get into team riders in just a moment. And start to see that play out. And a couple of the teams down to just 3 riders. So it is a day when we could see big shifts in the team result. Barney DHI King Nelson still sitting resolutely on the clear round. Back to the triple combination, and again, especially early on, just cutting your path and getting the turn back around your right shoulder correct. Oh, he was very lucky there at the A element. Really climbed all over it. They don't move much further in the cup without falling than that. We're going to be a little bit slow here, unfortunately, for Barney and DHI King Nelson, just being a little bit deliberate about making sure that he leaves all the poles standing, which he does. Barney Brotherton then with the just couple of time faults, as we have a time of 85.12. So it is going to see Barney's score grow by 1.2 time penalties, and that is an overall score of 85.12 in this U25 Championships for Barney, riding as an individual for Great Britain.
So 1.2 penalties is in fact for Barney Brotherton.
So team rider now, team rider for France with Varane Nico, Varane with the Anglo-Arab 12-year-old mare by Upsilon Ovive de Bren. With Faustine Fourreau and Denos de Guess not coming forward to this final test. Varane and Ovive de Bren on their 80 penalties exactly become a counting score for France, which currently has them about 40 points adrift of the teams in medal position. But again, France aren't the only team down to 3 contestants here on the final day. Indeed, all 3 of our potential medal-winning teams are also down to 3. So a good jumping round and solid platform from the 3 French riders. And who knows what could happen in terms of the team medals. So jumps the Darien milk churn fence. Millstreet here sitting on the historic Butter Road between Cork and Kerry, where those in Killarney would be taking their butter down to the market in Cork. Varane and Ovive de Bren, unfortunately, in trouble there in that line, jumping big in over the triple bar, not quite getting it, and then just not having the spot at all at the black plank. So we are on 8 jumping faults, and we're almost certainly going to be into time faults here as well for Varane Nico, which starts to see France's hopes of maybe building a solid defensive wall on their overnight score, that plan slightly crumble, and maybe the chances with it of a team medal at all here at the U25s. Starting to see the time penalties now as well. Varane Nico Vive de Bren over the water tray and turning back towards the last here. So just those problems in the line down to the Viking Longship in front of the old Derby bank here on the grass side of the arena. So it's 8 jumping faults, and with the time of 97.43 for Varane Nico, we see a 6 time penalty tariff as well. So with 14 added here on the final day, it's 94.0. And as I say, those points going straight onto the French team score as well. They're now on 197.1. So Spanish individual rider joins us now. This is Marcel Pirot-Pato. Marcel with Eventing Defay. 79.4 the score, top 25 in the individual ranking, and actually Spain with both of their individuals still in the competition here on the final day. Marcel will be one of our younger riders in the championships at 22 years old. Inspired into the sport by a friend of the family, Olympian Alberto Mosa Ferraz. And we've already seen Marcel at youth championships, twice at juniors, twice at young riders. And again, that related distance, and it should also be remembered, the one later on as well, 8 to 9, are actually not straight distances. They're both slightly bending. So James Tarrant, like a lot of the top designers, he doesn't give anything away for free. You have to ride and come up with a plan for every aspect of this course. Marcel does a nice job there. He gets a steady jump in over the triple bar and then moves up to the plank. Very, very well judged. And here you can see him just making the shape to the left for that oxer at the end of the arena. And now that there's a few more tracks, they can start to get a sense for where they should be. But I'm sure the first riders probably had to pick up landmarks around the arena to just cut their line down, so they didn't waste too much time going around the right shoulder back to that triple combination line. Marcel Pirot-Pato, Eventing Defay, just turning back now towards the last. The time looks good, and this has the potential to be our best score of the day so far. It certainly is. Clear round number 1 of the FEI Eventing World Championships for U25s goes to Spanish individual Marcel Pirot-Pato and Eventing Defay. Well, how valuable will that end up being as well, because the scores are stacked up pretty close and only the one clear so far. So do we see Marcel move up and up? For sure. Top 25 is guaranteed, no lower than 24th guaranteed for the first of our 2 Spanish individuals. So Charlotte Penny joins us now, individual rider from New Zealand. Professional rider, 24 years old, from near Auckland. Riding this horse, Carousel, originally produced by Monica Spencer, who was on the New Zealand senior medal-winning team at the Protoni World Championships in 2022. Charlotte on a 78.9 overnight. Again, the corner coming out of the water at the end of the course. The Shamrock Water was the undoing of them. This is quite a blood horse here for Carousel, a full thoroughbred mother, and from the New Zealand Hanoverian Society by a sire called Grasshopper. And we saw all of that come through in the way this horse galloped yesterday. Ooh, just a little bit of a shake of the head there. I thought they were in trouble coming to the third part of the triple combination line. Charlotte just carrying the single rail. We're going to be into time faults a tiny bit as well, so Charlotte is certainly going to drop behind Eventing de FEI and Marcel Pirro-Pato of Spain. So 4 jumping, 0.8 of a time penalty and a completion score then of 83.7. Actually, is going to drop them 2 places. They'll go behind Barney Brotherton as well.
Well, we go down to Nicolas Lupi for France. They're doing this with Azar U25.
So French individual rider Nicolas Rupi. Nicolas here with Azur de Casteras. 16-year-old Hoggar Mile, bred for the French team rider here. It's going to actually be a first championship here for Nicolas, 23 years old. And graduates like many of them in this championships of the 4-star competition earlier on this year at Royal Jump in France at Chaumont-en-Vexin. Just a light touch off the front of that quite pale jump as well. It's a cream grey fence going down there towards the bottom corner of the arena. Back over the dairy fence. Azur just pinning back the ears as Nicolas just looks to push up that distance. That's, again, a corner, as we've been saying right from the get-go, where you can waste a little bit of time. You can certainly trade a little bit too much distance for time and find yourself in trouble later on. Making a generalization, but the French often come into eventing competitions with very, very solid show jumping technique and results. And the frustration, of course, here, as it so often is for team management, that Nicolas is an individual and is looking set to maybe finish on their overnight score. It was a problem for them in the Dreshane Castle question yesterday. The rail-ditch-rail combination for 20 penalties, helping them on that 78.4 total, on which they stay. So Nicolas Rupi and Azur de Casteras give us our second clear round. But not quite. It is there with the single second's worth of time penalties. Nicolas Rupi has 0.4 to add. So it is still Marcel Pirro-Pato with our only total 0 score. But Azur de Casteras and Nicolas Rupi will hold on to their position. They will still stay in front of the Spanish rider.
Competing in the 4-star short at Chaumont-en-Vexin in France. That was in May this year.
We go on then to Paul Boras-Soda, our second Spanish individual, here with another Sol Francais horse. This is Eclat de Varennes. And just tell you that Faustine Fourreau, French team rider, actually suggested withdrawing before show jumping, so that has been what's put the French into that 4th position. They were still on the start list, so that was actually who we were just expecting for a moment or two. Next, Paul on 76.4 after yesterday's cross country, and again it was problems quite late at home. It was actually one of the very, very few to have a problem at the Karen Day and Martin upright white gates towards the end of the course. And just ticking away a fence there in the double. Plank goes 2, so we're starting to see the score increase, and therefore the combination will be dropping down the individual rankings a tiny bit. So Paul with 2 rails down against him at the moment. Paul Boras-Soda, Eclat de Varennes. This is going to put him also behind countryman Marcel Pirro-Pato, Watching the time here, we should be all right for our 83 seconds. And that it will be. It is 2 down, 8 faults in the middle of the course for Pulbara Soda in 81.15 on the clock. So we will see them complete their week on 84.4. And that is actually going to be quite an expensive round. It actually drops them 4 places on the ranking of this FEI Eventing World Championships. Brooke Dougal goes next, one of our 2 Australians with us for these championships. Brooke and Mai Lockie riding for Trudy Dougal. Lamosa Valicia, the second individual we'll see inside our top 10 in due course. First championship for Brooke, 25 years old, who's been over here riding in Europe for quite some years. And again, couples riding eventing alongside being a groom for Olympic Japanese rider in show jumping Taizo Sugatani. You say, I even just thought my commentator's curse. I said she'll have plenty of experience around chunky tracks like we have today. But unfortunately, and very, very similar actually to Paul Boris a moment ago, 1 down in the double and the plank then with the Viking Longships down as well. So sitting on 8 added. Brooke, who came in on a 66.3, was actually clear yesterday on the cross country, but had quite a few time penalties to see them sit just outside the top 20 individually. But again, Australia can be heartened, and I know Australia putting a lot of effort into the likes of the young rider, the Trans-Tasman Challenge as well. But they can be very, very heartened by having both of their riders still here in the mix on the final day. Brooke and Mai Lockie with just 1 more down and a fraction of a time penalty as well. So it is going to be 12 for jumping and 0.4 of a time penalty to give 78.7. Although, luckily enough, it does just hold their position. 0.1 of a penalty now in front of Nicola Rupi, and that is top 20. That's 19th or better. Sweden with just the 1 rider, but I know a high-performance structure that would be very, very keen to develop out of their juniors and young riders in the future a full team for this U25 World Championships, which of course will become an annual feature of our calendar, including next year at Cornbury in Oxfordshire in Great Britain in September. Felicia Andre of Sweden is their sole rider here for the inaugural championships. Felicia with Una Cardenta. First championships at any of the youth levels for Felicia. Had a very, very good top 5 in the U25 class at Bretonia earlier on this spring. And that score of 66 for the Swedish rider again comes with a clear cross country, but just with about a minute's worth of time penalties. But nobody yesterday getting the 6 minutes 30 optimum time on cross country. 2 who came very close, Alice Casburn and Topspin and Caroline Bierlein. Sadly, Felicia has the Scandinavian fence down, the Viking Longship with the black plank. And the next rail as well, still on 74. They would be holding their own in terms of the ranking, so holding on to the 18th position they were on when they entered the arena. Let's see what happens. They have to put a little bit of angle on that water tray vertical on the way home as well, so just increasing the risk of it as they swing around back to the last. The time looks good, and it is just going to be those 2 down. So a total of 74 then for Felicia Andre, and on 74 it is going to be, as I say, holding their position 18th but just taking a tiny bit of pressure off some of the individuals we've yet to see. Well, what a week it has been for Isni O'Donnell. The first we see from the Irish team challenging for a medal here. Isni was a late call-up from the individual bench for the team and did the business yesterday, delivering a clear round. So they sit on an overnight score here for what is now a three-strong Irish team on the final day of 61.0. European Young Riders team medalist, team rider for Ireland, 22-year-old Isni. Let's say the idea, the original selection was to come here as an individual and build up her experience. And I wondered whether that could happen to anyone. It is that Isni almost forgot the rollback here to the dairy fence. Just gives the horse a little bit of a reminder coming into the double. And it's another one whose horse really drifts to the left through that double, so they then have to be very, very conscious. Yeah, and she wasn't really. She wanted to get the horse right back in between hand and leg there for a moment and just didn't play ball, so they landed very much out of sync with each other at the takeoff point for the plank. So adding 8 to their own and the team score so far as they sight in here on the triple combination line for Isni and Vital DKZ. Another rail down with the water tray, and of course we're into time penalties now too for Isni, the first of the Irish team riders here today, and that is just going to open up the margin. As I say, France have fallen back a good bit. The medals are probably on for those top three teams. The fight really, and they were very, very close as show jumping began between them, is going to be about which colour. And of course, in terms of those three nations, I'm talking about Great Britain, Germany and Ireland. Isni O'Donnell then will finish up her individual challenge with a 12 for jumping, 3.2 for time. That is going to cost Isni 1 place on the individual ranking, and in terms of Ireland, now Ireland stay in bronze medal position, but now the margin between them and Germany has for the moment opened up. But don't forget, Germany and Great Britain in exactly the same situation, also coming forward as 3-member teams. We are taking a short pause now, having seen about half of the starting field on this final day of the FEI Eventing World Championships for U25 riders. We'll be back to the action in just a little bit over 10 minutes or so, so don't go too far away as we will get on to these individual medalists and see how the team competition develops and concludes here from Millstreet in Ireland.
just 5 minutes competitors.
Welcome back to Millstreet. The FEI Eventing World Championships for U25 riders about to conclude. We are halfway through the jumping finale, and interestingly, we still just have that one clear inside the time allowed from Spanish rider Marcel Pirro-Pato and Eventing de FEI. 16 horse and rider pairs yet to come and join us. We have really got into the teams now just before the break with Isney O'Donnell opening up the account for Ireland. And as we go on, we'll see the team riders from Great Britain, Germany and Ireland. The three teams really in the hunt for the team medals. The next team on the ranking is France. They're a little bit far off the pace. We thought at the beginning of the day that they might be able to come in if they could finish as a team on their overnight score and then let the others come back to them. That could work. But it just hasn't quite worked out with their first team rider coming forward and picking up quite a few points here in the jumping arena. So, second team rider now for France. France, Ireland, Germany, Great Britain, all with just 3 riders remaining here on the final day. So every single round of jumping counting. And it is Charlotte Baudas with the Tinkers boy bred Asboy de Kappa. Charlotte, a former young rider, European champion, winning the individual gold in 2023. Asboy de Kappa was also a young rider horse for her on part of the 4th place French team at the 2022 edition of the Young Riders, the U21s. Charlotte came to us on 57.8, so already adding 4 points for herself and the French team here. 1 minute, 2 seconds over the optimum yesterday on the cross-country for the French team rider. And as I say, with the first fence down here on course, like it is interesting how influential the first fence on this final championship track has been. James Tarrant, the Irish designer, setting this final test for the championship riders. Very, very well respected. He's been involved with here in Millstreet for a number of years as the designer for the eventing, and he'll be part of their team for the international show jumping to come here soon as well. Not too many problems at the triple combination, but where they have been, they've been about that A element, and it's all about the turn and shaping the turn back. And it's going to be more difficult for these riders immediately after the drag break because they don't have the path of the other riders to follow. So they're trying to cut their own line. They're trying to look for those landmarks they had when they were out inspecting the course a little bit earlier on. 2 seconds worth of time penalty for Charlotte Bourdas is 0.8. And the 3 down is 12 jumping faults. So 12.8 then added onto the score for Charlotte Bourdas. You'll see our French rider then on a 70.6 score. They hold their position in 16th, and it means that France's score now does grow. France remains in 4th position as a team, but now on 209, so over 50 points behind Ireland in bronze. Linus Weiss is the first rider we see now for the German team, as we've been mentioning. Germany are also just down to being 3 riders. Germany in a very, very close silver to Great Britain's score at the moment, so it's all to play for. Linus top 15 on 55.4. Linus, 23 years old, a veteran of the European CCI 3-star championships. Giving a little bit of breathing room there to Great Britain with a rail down in the German flag double over by the big screen. Again, I think the line up there from the dairy fence to the double is very, very influential, because I think they're all thinking about, do they go out, do they square it off, do they ride up quite direct and just give themselves 1 or 2 strides straight then in the final moments before the double. A, B down inside the triple combination here for Linus as well. So we're sitting on 16, I think, jumping faults. We're on 71.4. And the last as well, unfortunately. So it is 20 jumping penalties for Linus Weiss. Inside the time, so 20 added with 75.4 then. For him, it actually is only going to cost him, surprisingly enough, just 2 places on the ranking. We'll drop down behind Felicia Andre and her horse, the individual for Sweden.
Well, we're going to have another combination joining us from France this weekend. Lisa Gontari now joins us with Adonis. And a very good result in early
French individual, both of the French individuals still in the mix here. And it's Lisa Gautieri, Lisa with Adonis. Lisa and Adonis were top 5 after dressage, and ending up then skipping down the order a little bit with some time penalties, and actually 11 for a broken frangible early on the course yesterday, taking the Dre at number 4 down. So Lisa Gautieri and Adonis drifting out to that overnight score of 51.4. So carrying the 1 down so far. It just gets in deep onto that So chests away the top rail. Again, no impact here on the French team. But from her own perspective, just wants to stay on as good a score as possible. We see the third part of the triple combination come down for one of the first times in the championship. So carrying 12, and we're going to be into time penalties as well here for Gautieri. Taps the last, it's 89:45 on the clock. So it is for Edonis and Lisa Gautieri. 12 for jumping, time penalties as well, giving them 66.2. And that 66.2 will hold its spot just in front of Charlotte Bodas and Asboy de Kappa. So Tom Bird, a consistent five-star rider, he comes to us with the 9-year-old Lenny. Did such a good job as cross-country trailblazer yesterday. This is actually the first test of the weekend where Tom has not had to be the trailblazer. Sitting just outside the top dozen individually, and with the opportunity here to try and help consolidate Great Britain's position in gold overnight. Of course, Alice Casburn and Topspin were in that individual gold medal position when we closed cross-country yesterday, withdrawing overnight, not presenting this morning. But even with that change, with bringing Tom in as a counting score, Great Britain stayed in front. The faults a few moments ago for Linus Weiss give him breathing room, and he takes up a little bit of that breathing room. Tom, who went around in exactly 7 minutes yesterday against that 6 minutes 30 optimum time, but had just such a consistent rhythm and pace around the course for this young horse. You say a good bit of a margin as well over Lisa Gautieri and Edonis, who are the nearest on the leaderboard. And again, if it is going to be just one down for Tom, that's very, very useful for the team after both Ireland and Germany, after their first team rider, both slip back and open up the margin quite a bit. Couple of time penalties for Tom Bird. We'll see whether that comes into play, but a nice round of jumping again, and super pleasing for such a young mare there in Lenny, the 9-year-old. So it is with the single rail down and the time of 85.67 that gives Tom Bird and Lenny their completion score here, and of course also then will have that little bit of impact on the British team score. So it is going to be that Ireland have moved back up into silver after Isney O'Donnell, and then the first team rider for Germany, Linus Weiss, with Great Britain holding on to gold at the moment. Jack Curtis, Luska Candy Clover, a horse that enjoyed early young horse success here at Millstreet, County Cork, before joining Jack. Jack, a native of Beverly, Massachusetts. Been in good form at the likes of Tryon, Ocala at the Horse Park, and Terra Nova at the 4-star short level. With this horse, Luska Candy Clover, the now 13-year-old Sligo Candy Boy. Individual rider for the United States of America, sitting inside the top 12 overnight on 49.2. So a little bit in hand as well over Tom Bird's score. But nothing added at the moment. Remembering as well, we've actually still only had just the one clear inside the time from our Spanish individual rider. That looked quite deep out into the corner there. Does he put himself under pressure for time? We've certainly had one or two home with all the rails up, but paying the penalty on the clock. Jack and Luska Candy Clover at that final water tray vertical, and now one more to go. This last oxer here going back towards the in-gate in front of the jury box, and the time is good, 81.51 and clear. So it is our second clear only for Jack Curtis and Luska Candy Clover. Nice here in Millstreet for an Irish horse to deliver one of just 2 clear rounds so far. We have 11 riders remaining, and it is starting to get very, very interesting here in Millstreet.
Again from the USA, a member of the team here this week at Millstreet, Meg Pellegrini now with
So we're actually going to see a group of US riders all in a row. We go to 2 of their team riders now, Meg Pellegrini and in a moment Olivia Dutton. Meg Pellegrini here with Don Dante, the Pacino-bred Irish sport horse, 16-year-old, formerly a 5-star horse, 4-5-star winner. Will Coleman. Meg Pellegrini 11th on 48.9. 21-year-old hails originally from Malvern, Pennsylvania, and based actually with Will and Katie Coleman. And this horse owned by the Broussard family of Rebecca Farm, massive benefactors of US eventing, not least through hosting an incredible horse trials out there in Big Sky Country in Montana. A element of that double, and again, just as they need to slice across, and I'm sure they've all been told, don't waste time coming back from the dairy fence over towards that double, but they slice up. They do just need to set themselves up with 2 perhaps clean, straight strides to really get ready for that double, and I think a few are just slicing it a little bit casually. So the rail has dropped to a place behind countryman Jack Curtis, and now just becoming a tiny bit more expensive overall for Meg Pellegrini and Don Dante in the overall standings of our U25. The United States of America, regrettably, with just 2 active members of their team here on the final day, so they, I'm afraid, are sort of buckled in for 5th. But Meg Pellegrini and Don Dante have to slightly kiss goodbye to the idea of maybe finishing inside the top 10. They do drop as a result of the rails on course here, with Luska, Candy Clover and Jack Curtis moving up to 11th minimum. So 56.9 is going to see Meg Pellegrini drop behind both Jack Curtis and Tom Byrne. Clear inside the time on 81.56, so clear of time penalties, but it is with the 2 down.
Some very good results this year in America. 7th in the 4th short at Ecton, and after that there was 6th at Millstreet, and that was in May. That was in the 4-star long format. Of course, a member of the team here this week.
So Livy Dutton and Juland, as we've been saying across the weekend, this Irish bred bivalent out of a Rosalia mare is a full brother to Rosalind, that we've seen at the 5-star level with Oliver Townend. And this is a youth championship medalist for the United States of America, Livia, who's part of a gold medal winning team for her region at Rebecca Farm, where we were talking about just recently at the North American Youth Championships. And from the famous Dutton name, I think every member of the US U25 squad here is training with a 5-star winner, and many of them with Olympic gold medalists as well. And Livy can claim that through her father, Philip Dutton. It's nice to welcome them here because they have been great supporters and promoters of the Irish horse over many years. And as I say, Olivia becoming a fellow professional in her father's yard, taking on the ride on Sea of Clouds, and not just schoolmasters, but ones that she could take on a little bit better, maybe even than him. It is a nice round over the fences, just caught out by the clock. Olivia Dutton and Juland are our first confirmed top 10 finisher of the U25 Championships, adding just 0.4 of a penalty here on the final day. And it has been 31 seconds worth of time penalties across the weekend for Olivia Dutton. 30 seconds over the time yesterday and 1 second over the time today for Livy and Jueland. So one more US rider to see, and that is going to be the highest ranked individual, Molly Duda, inside the top 10 here in a few moments' time. And we are now firmly inside that top 10. So one of our youngest contenders here, Lamosa Velicia, and again, the countries without direct access to an international young riders or other youth championships will be sending slightly younger riders. We see that here in Lamosa Velicia and Call Me Cooley, 19-year-old Lamosa, who's been working hard to fund her trip up here and knew it would be potentially worthwhile with 2 4-star wins at home at Ballarat and Werribee, giving her a very, very high ranking on those FEI World U25 rankings. Lamosa also just about 30 seconds over the time yesterday, otherwise clear over Mikey S's track, moving up from 21st to 11th overnight, and now jumping for 9th place minimum. As we were mentioning, an incredible journey in both the the reality TV show and geographic sense for Lamosa to come here, and I just want to shout out on her behalf to everyone who contributed to her fundraising, because this is the horse that's come the furthest, actually flew up from the Southern Hemisphere for these World Championships. So Lamosa's single rail is just going to drop her behind the 2 strong American performances there. But is it just going to be the one? It's unfortunately the second rail down, so it's going to be a grand total of 8 faults in a very, very fast time of 78. Maybe if they'd just been a little bit steadier across the ground, might have been able to hold 1 or so of those rails. But we'll never quite know. Lamosa Velicia, Call Me Cooley will finish there on 55.7, and that is going to be a round that costs them 3 places on the order, going behind Livy Dutton, Jack Curtis and Tom Bird. So Clara Cazeneuve, team rider for France. This will be the conclusion of the French team campaign. Dolce Gabbana, the Sol Francais by Flinga, quite easy on a 45.3 score, worth 8th position. Combination of being inside the top 10 since dressage. And we start to get into a position now. We were within 2 rails of gold in terms of the individual. But there they move themselves 1 rail further back. And indeed, that single rail costing them 2 places. Olivia Dutton and Jack Curtis moving up again. Tom Nestor with nearly a rail, but not quite over Calvin Bachmann when we get to it. And Jasmine Underwood, half a point. So 1 time penalty only between Calvin Bachmann and Jasmine Underwood. It is incredibly close all the way home now. Let's say the USA were the first team to lock in their final score with only 2 riders to jump today. This is the 3rd and final team rider for France. And as we have suggested, I think 4th place is where France are going to stay, as Clara Cazeneuve and Dolce Gabbana with the rail down in the triple combination line coming around to the last. 83 seconds time allowed. They are going to sneak inside that, but it is going to be 8 points to add for Clara and Dolce Gabbana. So that is going to put them on 53.3 final score. As I say, both rails, the first rail cost them the 2 places, the second rail didn't cost them anything more, but it does add 8 more points to the French team total here. And they will finish on 218.3. And as I say, that is, it's actually 60 points behind Germany in bronze at the moment. So I think, barring incident, that France will be finishing 4th without a team medal here at the first edition of these championships. Already on course is Molly Duda and Disco Traveller. Molly, who we've seen the last couple of years running at Bramham in Yorkshire. Rider who trains with Tammy Smith of the United States, Olympian and 5-star winner. Hails from California, the same as Tammy, and actually owns a couple of horses with Tammy and her daughter, Kaylorna Smith-Cook. This partnership have gone well at Temecula, at Bramham, and at Woodside. Molly actually one of the first really fast clears yesterday, getting under 7 minutes in comparison to the optimum time of 6.5 minutes. I think she was still third or fourth fastest overall. And Molly has moved up from 24th to be jumping here for 7th place. I think she still might end up being one of our biggest climbers. That 49.2 is going to be the same score as Jack Curtis and Lusker Candy Clover if she stays there. So Molly Duda and Disco Traveller adding just 1 rail on the final day. The 16-year-old horse by Donatelli there for Molly, and on 49.2. It will come down to time between herself and Jack Curtis for the equality, and it looks like she gets the nod. We will see. Of course, Jack did have the clear. So all those tiebreak rules need to come into play there for their position inside the top 10. Olivia Dutton and Julant, though, moving up to 7th, thanks to their clear with a single time fault. So that's our final US rider. And here now is the second member we see of the British team to try and take gold at these first championships. Keris Macaulay and Kananaskis themselves on the podium this year of Bramham and the National Under-25 Championships, which was a big part of the selection pathway for the British horses to come to these championships. Keris and Kananaskis, 30 seconds over the time. That 7 minutes yesterday was a time that a lot of people achieved against the 6:30 optimum time, so many added 12 penalties to their score yesterday. And in Keris's position, that was a dressage score of 32.5. So they are very much in the mix. A good show jumping around here could easily turn into an individual top 5. Four-star debut last year at Bergham in Northumberland. Still on the clear at the moment, and again this is going to give a big margin to Great Britain. Great Britain have 14 or so points in hand, so more than 3 rails, with Kananaskis and Keris could be delivering only our 3rd clear round. Just looking at the time, it's going to be the fraction of a time fault. We've seen that a couple of times, but it is clear over the rails. And Keris Macaulay and Kananaskis, so not much to add. They will hold their position in 6th or better on that 45.3. It is going to be 0.8 added. Well, the Under-25 Championships in a sport where 4 of our world champions have been 25 or under, and this lady turns 25 today here at the final day of the championships. And Katrin Bierlein and Sir Scotty. And Katrin, 34th after dressage. She is now riding for top 5 here on the final day. Has had some good run into this championship in the German U25 series. And Anne-Catherine and Sir Scotty on their own score of 43.2. They were very, very fast. They were, I think, just 1 or 2 seconds slower only than Topspin and Alice Casburn, which saw them rocket up the order. Now, with Germany and Ireland sitting almost level pegging for silver and bronze, that rail for Anne-Catherine gives a little bit of breathing room to Ireland. Anne-Catherine is the second rider for Germany, and we still have 2 of the 3 riders to come for Ireland, so it is still very much up in the air, although Great Britain looking very, very comfortable, as Jasmine Underwood will join us in a moment's time with at least 3 in hand. So the water tray goes. It's not the most attractive fence or sided. I'm surprised it hasn't gone terribly much more. So Anne-Catherine there with the 2 down, being wished a happy birthday here in the ring in Millstreet. Anne-Catherine with 8 jumping and time penalties to add. So it's a 53.2. She'll stay inside the top 10. It is 9th overall minimum for Anne-Catherine Bierlein. And those points also going on to the German team score. So Germany dropping back that little bit. It gives a tiny bit of breathing room to Ireland. But, of course, breathing room that could instantly be taken away.
We're in the final stages of our World Championship, the final phase. Lying in 4th place at the moment, our next combination, Godfrey Gibbons for Ireland, and he goes with Ballyvillan OBOS. It's together by OBS Quadri, down by Young Convince, bred by Tim Gleeson.
Godfrey Gibbons joins us now, the number 2 for Ireland, Ballyvillan OBOS. They say Ireland had a lot of hopes pinned on Jenny Kuhnler and the great Sammy Davis Jr., who helped them into the dressage lead. Was standing in a very strong position yesterday after cross-country, but just like Topspin and Alice Casburn elected to withdraw overnight, and it meant that Ireland stayed in the medal mix. But with the pressure then going on team debutant like Isney. So Godfrey Gibbons and Tom Nestor, both that little bit more experienced, and they will hope now that they can be really able to consolidate and lock in the team silver. I think the team gold is just out of reach now. Oh, we were just saying that Germany, thanks to Anne-Catherine Bierlein, had opened up the score a little bit for Ireland. They'd given them 2 rails in hand to hold on to silver, and unfortunately Godfrey takes one of those rails straight away at number 1. And again, fascinating how influential number 1 has been on this championship track. Dairy fence goes as well. So now he has nothing else in hand for Ireland to stay in silver in front of Germany at this stage, with both teams still to send out their next and final rider. Godfrey as well, taking that little bit of pressure off the top 3. He was in 4th overnight, but now on a 49.5. He's actually dropped quite a couple of places because of Molly Duda and Jack Curtis holding that equal score as well. So Keris McCauley, Kananaskis up to knock on the door of the podium. Clear the triple combination. Godfrey, who's been busy this weekend riding not just the championship, but riding a string of horses for his owners across the other divisions here at Millstreet. He just swings that quite wide here coming to the last, so he's going to take a time penalty. And 50.7 the score. So with a 50.7, Godfrey, is it going to be enough? Will Ireland stay in front of Germany? They will just. It is very, very close. I don't think there's going to be a rail between them as I just do my quick mathematics. There actually is. There's still 1 rail, I believe, between Ireland and Germany for silver.
We've had some very good form this year. Second in the 4-star short, Pan-Venice International. Finished up 9th in the 4-star long format, Chamon and Fetzan in France.
So another one of our individual young rider gold medalists joining us here at Millstreet this weekend, sitting in bronze medal position overnight. It is Jasmine Underwood, an Indian girl. G, the number 5 on the FEI World U25 rankings. This could be about to sort away the first of our individual medals ever. And of course, as final rider to go for Great Britain, barring disaster, she will seal not only the first team medal, but the first team championship. Jasmine rattles the triple combination. She has just used one of her lifelines, one rail down. They're pushing away from the in-gate for that vertical. It goes as well, 48.5. So Keris McCauley gets the baton now for an individual medal, but on 48.9, it looks like there it is going to be gold for Great Britain, with Keris McCauley moving up onto the individual podium. Jasmine Underwood moving down to 5th at the moment. So a completion score of 149.7 means Great Britain are unassailably the world champions of the FEI World Championship eventing for U25s. And the challenge, the competition remains for 2 individual medals and the team silver and team bronze. And in both cases, it is Germany versus Ireland. One of the most experienced riders in this competition. We've had 5-star riders like Alice Casburn and Tom Bird, Nations Cup riders, Youth Championship medalists. This man has been the reserve on site at the Olympic Games in Paris for his country. He's been a 5-star rider, and he was 4th last year with his top horse at the Senior European Championships. Calvin Bachmann, the world number 1 U25, sitting on 40 penalties for silver with Alter de l'Essence. A clear from Calvin will put a lot of pressure on Ireland to hold on for the team silver. His own right, it will guarantee him minimum of silver, and he can afford a rail and still hold silver. And as we said, between Calvin and Tom Nestor sitting in gold, there is almost but not quite a rail. Calvin, no stranger to the jumping ring either. Like a lot of our top athletes now doing a little bit of dual purpose. We see them out not only with their eventing horses, just getting them ready for the Grand Prix-esque tracks they have to face, but also with pure jumpers as well. So Calvin and Alter de l'Essence, 2 from home to try and, as I say, lock up 2 medals, an individual and a team, and the colour of both are just yet to be decided. What it means, though, is Keris McCauley and Kananaskis won't rise any further because Calvin Bachmann is clear inside the time to stay on 40 penalties. Silver is guaranteed, minimum, and bronze for the German team, minimum. As I say, Ireland with 1 rail in hand for team silver. However, were he to take it, Tom Nestor would sacrifice his individual gold medal chances. If he takes gold on a clear, of course, it will be individual gold and team silver for Ireland. So we shall see here in just a moment, but a super performance, exactly as you would expect from Calvin Bachmann and Alter de l'Essence here, to give us only our 3rd clear inside the time of the whole championships. It would be quite something if he won, because he is still well within the realm of the level below. The young riders, the U21. 19-year-old Tom Nestor, he's already represented Ireland 4 times. He's been an individual medalist before at junior level, and joins us here with the Irish sport horse Cooley Diamond Dancer on 37.1. The rail goes. Calvin Bachmann is world champion. However, Ireland could still hold on for Team Silver. Any further problems for Tom? And that swaps over too. Tom with a rail in hand to hold on to silver as an individual. That goes as well. So unfortunately, whilst he stays in individual silver, Ireland's team silver has transformed into bronze. Fascinating championships where just a literal handful of riders scored sub 30 in the dressage, and now no one will score under 40 penalties in the final analysis, with everyone getting time penalties yesterday on the cross-country. A very, very tough day of cross-country and show jumping for everyone, and just 3 clears here on the final day, including our newly crowned world champion Calvin Bachmann. Unfortunately, Tom Nestor and Cooley Diamond Dancer drop right off the individual podium, which means that Calvin Bachmann, Alter de l'Essence, is going to be our world champion. Keris McCauley and Kananauskas. And coming up, having been 12th coming into this final day for an individual bronze at the World Championships, is the US team rider Livy Dutton and Duelant. Very, very hard times, of course, for Tom. Our heart goes out to him because that is a heartbreaking round, but the consolation will be to be part of the first ever Nations team podium. And there is the result. Calvin Bachmann, Alter de l'Essence are your world champions, with Keris McCauley silver, Olivia Dutton bronze, Jasmine Underwood, Molly Duda in top 5, Jack Curtis, Godfrey Gibbons, Tom Nestor, and Catherine Beerline, Charlotte Cazeneuve, Tom Bird, and Lamosa Valicia rounding out our top 12. There's the subsequent results, including that clear for Piro Patró and Eventing de FEI for Spain. Just 3 clear rounds in our whole starting order of 31 here for the Connolly's Red Mills FEI Eventing World Championships for U25 riders. And if the individual wasn't exciting enough, so too was the teams. With Great Britain are going to be our first ever world champions of the U25. They were streets ahead when it really came to it in this final day, even as all of them were playing with just a hand of 3 cards after the withdrawal overnight of the leader, Alice Casburn, and topspin. And that's a heartbreak as well, because it's almost a combination for whom this event, this championships, was designed to sort of crown that career that we've so enjoyed at the 5-star level. But it is a different world champion from the one we expected, and that's why we love live sport. Great Britain with the team gold, Germany with the team silver, and Ireland with the team bronze here in Millstreet, County Cork in Ireland for the first ever FEI Eventing World Championships for U25 riders. We have the medal ceremony, of course, coming up for you for the teams and individuals here from the Green Glen Arena. Do stay with us on FEI TV.
And the winner of the team gold goes to Great Britain. And a result in the individual for the Great Britain after producing it here. Second has to go Calvin Bachmann for Germany. He's a winner on a score of 40 penalties. In second, for Great Britain, Keris McCauley on 45.3. Next up in third, Olivia Dutton and Duelant for America on a score 48.2. In fourth for Great Britain, Jasmine Underwood and Indian Girl G on a score 48.9. In fifth for America, Molly Duda and Disco Traveller on a score 49.2. And in sixth again for America, Jack Curtis and Nuska Candy Tugger.
with just those little handful of clears inside the time here on the final day, creating a really dynamic final test. Congratulations to James Tarrant and his team here for that super test on the final day, delivering that result. Great Britain had very much buckled themselves in for the team goal, the first ever team goal, but then it was such a battle between Germany and Ireland, round by round. So too in the individuals, we've seen Olivia Dutton come up from riding from outside the top 10 overnight to an eventual individual bronze. Harrison Corley of Great Britain and Kananaskis from the podium this year at the National Under-25 Championships of Great Britain will take silver, and it is the #1 ranked U25 rider of the world, Calvin Rodman and Alter de la Sance, who take the first ever World Championship title. Our thanks to Conley's Red Mills, of course, presenting sponsor. I'm delighted that Gareth Conley, Chief Executive Officer, joins us here today. And so too, Chairperson of Horse Sport Ireland, Dr. Pamela Byrne. Our thanks to Horse Sport Ireland for their support. The FEI's commitment and trust in Millstreet to award these championships here to County Cork for their inaugural run. contesting those championships. Of course, here from us in Green Country, and particular good luck to our Irish teams. Ladies and gentlemen, join us now for the victory ceremony for the FEI Eventing World Championship for under 25s, presented by Conley's Red Mills here at Millstreet, the inaugural edition of this prestigious new championships. And we welcome to the Green Plains Arena our team and individual medalists. We welcome our presentation party for this afternoon, David O'Connor, Chairman of the FEI Eventing Committee, Olympic Champion 2000. Gareth Conley, Chief Executive Officer of Conley's Red Mills, our presenting sponsor. Dr. Pamela Bird, Chairperson of Motorsport Ireland, the national governing body. And Emma Hickey, representing the organising committee here at Millstreet and the Dublin family, our hosts. We very much congratulate Millstreet on the success of these championships, and we thank our presenting sponsor, Conley's Red Mills, for their support of these inaugural championships. Millstreet, in turn, would like to thank the FEI for the confidence placed in them with their selection to be the hosts of this inaugural edition. We recognise our FEI officials, the ground jury who judged the competition, the technical delegates, stewards and designers, and our many, many volunteers, and thank them for their commitment to equestrian sport. Well, as our three medal-winning teams line up here behind the podium, we'll invite the athletes to dismount as we start with our team medal ceremony. Which of course means that each of the horses will now be accompanied by their wonderful grooms. And I'd love to take this moment, ladies and gentlemen, for us all to put our hands together for the incredible work done behind the scenes of our sport by the grooms, not just at these championships, but day in, day out. The medals will be presented by Mr. David O'Connor, and we start with our bronze medalists. Ladies and gentlemen, the team of Godfrey Gibbons, Tom Nestor, Izzy O'Donnell and Jennifer Kulu with their chef team, Sam Griffiths, the home team of Ireland. Such a battle between Ireland and Germany, especially throughout this final day. Our podium accompanied, as we said, by chef team, Sam Griffiths. The medals being presented by David O'Connor, Olympic champion of our sport, on behalf of the International Equestrian Federation. Your Your bronze medalists, Ireland. The silver medalists for 2026, with the chef geek, Dr. Annette Fingerall, it is the team from Germany. Calvin Hoffman and Katrin Beerlein, Linus Weiss and Nicholas Goldbeck making up the team from Germany and taking the silver honours here with us in the Millstreet. What a team championship it has been, with Ireland leading after the dressage, then the turn of the tables in that very, very influential day of cross country, and then finally here we get the order we achieved today. Silver medalist, ladies and gentlemen, Germany. They were locked onto it from halfway through the day. It was an imperious performance then by our first ever gold medalist, with their chef geek, David Sheeran, ladies and gentlemen, Great Britain. Congratulations to Ferris McCauley, Jasmine Underwood, Tom Bird, who is our trailblazer dressage and cross country, and Alison Asberg, making up our gold medal winning team for the first time ever at the FEI Eventing World Championship for the U25 riders. Ladies and gentlemen, gold medalists and world champions, Great Britain. Congratulations to all of our medalists, and ladies and gentlemen, we ask you please to rise now as we honour our newly named world champions with the national anthem of our gold medalists, Great Britain. Congratulations, history being made here at our FEI Eventing World Championships. On behalf of our title sponsors now, we call upon Gareth Conley, Chief Executive Officer of Conley Threadmills, representing Conley Threadmills, for and Equine, and Car and Day Denmark to present the trophies to our chef geeks, the team managers of each of our teams. Starting then with our bronze medal winning team, and it will be Sam Griffiths who receives the trophy from Conley Threadmills here on behalf of Ireland. Each of the riders is going to receive a trophy, but we decided we wouldn't overburden them here on the podium. Dr. Weimar receiving on behalf of Germany the trophy for the silver medalists, and David Sheeran, VHS, going to receive the trophy on behalf of Great Britain. Dr. Pamela, chairperson of Horseport Ireland, makes the presentation of the flowers on behalf of our national governing body here in Ireland. And congratulating all of our medalists and their team managers on behalf of Millstreet Green Lanes Arena and the Duggan family, we welcome Emma Hickey. think if we could invite David to just join the presentation party in front of the podium, we'll get one final photo then. Ladies and gentlemen, the team members of the inaugural FEI Eventing World Championship for U25 riders, Great Britain, Germany, Ireland. Well, we move on to our second medal ceremony, and it is going to be, of course, for those who rose to the top in the individual ranking across our 4 days of sport here in County Cork. If we can ask our team members, please, to clear the podium as we'll move on to our individual victory ceremony. Thank you. Congratulations to all of our team members, Ireland's Godfrey Gibbons, Tom Nestor, Izzy O'Donnell, Kenny Fiedler, Jones, Calvin Moffman, Anne Catherine Clearline, Nina Spice, Victor Skolbeck, Great Britain's Harris McCauley, Jasmine Underwood, Tom Bird, Alex Tasrat, and of course, not to forget, our wonderful partners in sport, the incredible horses of the World Championships. Moving on then to our individual medal ceremony. The individual medals will once again be presented on behalf of the International Equestrian Federation by the chairman of the FEI Eventing Committee, Mr. David O'Connor, and we start with our bronze medalist. An incredible run in the show jumping, bringing her up from 12th to eventual individual bronze. We congratulate for the United States of America with Olivia Young. For the North American Youth Championship, team gold medalist Izzy Duffy now adds a world bronze medal for the United States of America. Taking our runner-up spot, the vice champion of the world, in the individual silver medal with Cannon Askus for Great Britain, team member Harris McCauley. Double medal there, of course, already a team medalist for Great Britain with the gold, and Askus and Terence McCauley now going to score individual silver. Of course, our 3-day sport. So it's just outside the top 10 after the dressage, and moving up and up. There's a consistent, strong jumping performance. Your gold medalist, ladies and gentlemen, he was individually fourth at the Senior Europeans last year. He is the #1 ranked U25 rider in the world, and that made him count here in the final analysis of our first World Championships. Outside the Renaissance for gold medalist in Germany's Calvin Brookman. Ladies and gentlemen, gold medalist and world champion Calvin Brookman, Germany. Could we ask him please? Calvin. Could we ask him please to rise as we will have our formal moment to recognise our new world champion, Calvin Brookman, with the playing of the national anthem of Germany. Congratulations to our three individual members who will carry on the presentation then as we invite Mary Conley on behalf of Conley's Red Girls, another great family company here in Ireland, to present the contemporary Crystal Trophies that will go to each of our medalists, and as we mentioned, each of our team medal winning riders will be receiving one of these as well. Start with our US sister, Minnie Duck and Juliet. Our silver medalist then Terence McCauley and Canon Askus on behalf of Great Britain. And then the Crystal Trophy for our world champion, Calvin Brookman. On behalf of All Sport Ireland, Dr. Pamela Byrne, presenting the flowers, and Emma Hickey offering congratulations on behalf of our team here at Millstreet Green Games Arena and the Duggan Cup. Extended walk, David. We'll get our chairman back into the picture. Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2026, your first ever eventing U25 World Championship medalists. And we will invite our presentation party now, whilst Charles does whatever he's going to do with our individuals, and they get remounted. Our presentation party will be invited over to congratulate three more athletes in the ring. It has been a first ever championships, and we wanted to acknowledge a number of top performances. So we've actually invited our top 6 individuals in. So over on the right-hand side, ladies and gentlemen, will you please offer your applause and congratulations to our 4th place finisher for Great Britain, Jasmine Underwood, an Indian Girl Kid. Our 5th place finisher, individual rider for the United States of America, Molly Duda, Disco Traveler. And our 6th place finisher with that clear round in the show jumping today for the USA individual rider, Jack Curtis, and the horse was the young horse champion right here at Millstreet, Luska and Clover. Ladies and gentlemen, as we mentioned, this is just the first of what will now be an annual World Championships for U25 riders, and we're very proud to have held the inaugural edition here in County Cork in Millstreet in Ireland, and it will be Great Britain that crucible of eventing sport that will host the second one in Corbury in Oxfordshire next year in September. It's going to be quite the rendezvous, and we'll see whether it will be more than 14 nations and 5 teams, which is already an incredible start for this new championship that lines out there in Oxfordshire. Our grand jury of James Green of Ireland, Andrew Tucker of Great Britain, Robin Fisher of the United States of America on behalf of the FEI officials offering there. Congratulations to our medalists as well. We're not far away from the end of these championships, which will be marked by a richly deserved lap of honour starting with our teams. So we've got Calvin safely back aboard. He was the one we were waiting for. We are going to start, ladies and gentlemen, with the lap honour of the team championships, which means we are going to be led away by our neighbours and friends and first ever world champions, ladies and gentlemen, to lead off the team victory gallop. It is going to be Great Britain. Silver medalist for Germany and our bronze medalist, the Valiant team for Ireland. Congratulations to the chef team, David Shearer, Terence McCauley, Kevin Nasters, Jasmine Underwood, Indian Girl team, Tom Bird and Lenny, Alice Casper at the top spin, your gold medalist, Great Britain. Congratulations to Germany's Calvin Rockman, Anne-Patrick Luline, Linus Spicy, Nicholas Perfect, scoring silver. And the gold given Tom Nestor, Ischia Gold, Jennifer Doolin together with the bronze spars. Ladies and gentlemen, all on the road, your gold medal winning team, the first ever, the team for Great Britain. A super 4 sports for the win by a country mile here in Millstreet. Great Britain. Terence McCauley, Jasmine Underwood, Tom Bird and Alice Casper. We're going to take a little bit of a reset, and then we're going to be able to recognise and really rip it up for our top 3 individuals here as well in the Green Lens Arena. Stay with us just a few moments more of this ceremony, but well worth it, given the achievements that they have put in over this weekend to be able to celebrate our individuals here in just a few moments' time. And congratulations to Ireland, Germany, Great Britain, our team medalists for 2026. So we just need Terrace to turn left. And we are just about ready to go. Calvin, I think, will know the way, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for our individual top 6 and then our medalists alone to take a pass here on the Green Lens Arena at the conclusion of our first ever World Championships. Our 6th place finisher, Jack Candace, Molly Hagan, the USA, Jasmine Underwood from Great Britain just off the podium. And your medalists, moving up for the USA with Turin, Terence McCauley, Kevin Nasters, and Alvin Rockman and Alfred Emerson, world champions. Congratulations to them all. Super performances, especially those who managed to deliver the clear rounds here today, which includes, of course, our world champion, the #1 ranked U25 rider in the world, Calvin Bottom, out there de Naissance. Congratulations, Calvin. Congratulations, Derek Corley, Olivia Duff, silver and bronze individual medalists as well. Thank you so much for being part of these championships here at Millstreet. It's been a great pleasure for us all here in Ireland, and in particular at Millstreet and Green Lanes Arena and the Duggan family to be your hosts this weekend. And as we say here in Ireland, may the road rise to meet you in the future. Good night on both of us, and please do have a very, very safe journey home. We hope we'll be welcoming you back for our international events and hopefully the championships again in the future here at Millstreet. We'll be handing back over to the bottom here in just a moment. It's a surprise for him to find out. We have the three-star short with their awards coming up here just a moment to his time with the Green Lanes.
Well, thank you, John, for joining us for the presentation. We've got one more today. It's the three-star short format presented by Fawn Equine. So we're going to do it straight away, as we are aware a lot of you are trying to make very light. So in 6th place, John Sleep Brakeman, Jasper Kelly, and Agatha Raven. Race in the third, and the two-star short, Jasper Kelly with the Irish Rep Agatha Raven, on the 10-year-old mare by OBS Quality. In the 5th place, it's a local one here from right here in County Cork. Momochini and Da Vinci. In 4th place, member of the Irish team here this week, the Under-25 World Championship team, Godfrey Dillon and Belaine Tissel, the better last time. So our thanks to the owner for coming out for the presentation, Richard Amy. Thank you, Richard. The government got a bank for that. In 3rd place for Ireland, in Cassell, and the Rutland Flamenco. The semi there by Casaco, down by Jitem Flamenco. And Ian also finished up in 2nd with another Cooney horse, Cooney Capusa. So our final presentation of the week goes to Kevin McNabb from Australia with Newmarket Gaming. That one of that is Irish bred, bred over the road here at the Scartine stud by Billy Daly, by his own sire, the Market Jules. Our thanks to Gareth Conley Sweaters and the Ford Equine and Kevin McNabb of the Rush Ball. Thank you, Kevin, for staying with us for the presentation. So it's a moment for Raymond to finish off the presentation.